What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fusion Power Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about design in the solar installation process. It is a long process that touches a lot of hands in order to get from sale to glass on the roof to get installed. It all starts with the design team. A good design gives you a good plan set. A good plan set gives you a good installation. A good installation gets you a green tag and allows you to get that job PTO'd as fast as possible. So today we're going to be talking with our head of design here at Fusion Power. Robert Epps is on the program today, and he's going to talk about some of the challenges and some of the focuses that him and his team focus on to be able to get those jobs through as quick as possible with the highest quality possible to make sure that our jobs are seamlessly installed and continue to make Fusion Power the fastest installer in the state of Arizona and soon to be all across the nation. So what got you into doing solar design? How'd you get into that?
Yeah, so I was always interested in renewable energies, kind of with my degree in business sustainability. And kind of what got me into the design engineering side was I kind of started off kind of doing sales support, proposal specialist, kind of helping out, understanding how solar works, and then kind of just took it upon myself, learned some CAD courses, kind of sat down, would train with the designers at my previous company that I worked at, and kind of just learned the basics and the fundamentals, and was given the opportunity. And
you liked
hit
huh?
the ground running, yeah.
You liked it. So tell me what you like about design, because it's a pretty intense project. Like each project's pretty intense, but like you guys got a lot of pressure on you in that department. Tell me what it is that you like about doing solar designs.
Yeah, so I like the challenge. I like how no job is all the same. Each job requires kind of complex, critical thinking, and it's kind of like a puzzle, trying to put it all together, piece it out, make sure you put together the most optimal solution.
Well, and it's funny you say that too. No job is the same, because for me on the sales side, it's like, whatever, you guys design all these every time. Like, why is this one so different than this one? Like, last time I did an 8 kilowatt system and it didn't need an MPU. Like there's just so many these different variables where you guys are handling a lot of different things that you have to figure out to make this thing work, right?
Right. Yes, you're correct.
Tell me now, how long have you been with Fusion now?
So Fusion, I'm coming up on a year.
Getting there, right?
Getting there.
Just about there. How did you get recruited to Fusion?
So I was ready for change at my previous company, and actually Mark, the director of a design engineering department, reached out to a good friend of mine, and he wasn't looking for any movement per se, but he referred my name to Mark, and we kind of just got in contact. And I've known about Mark kind of from my previous job, and I was actually really interested, and I was ready to make some change.
Love it. What would you say? What do you like the most about working at Fusion so far?
There's a lot. There's definitely a lot, but definitely the team, the department, and then how closely in operations we all work together.
Nice. So you love the teammate feel.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep, absolutely.
Good. You're basically heading up that room right now. You're responsible for a lot of designers, and looking at, I don't know how many designs a week you have to go through, but what would you say overall? What's the mission of Fusion Power's design team?
So the mission is definitely, getting the job done within that, respected time manner, doing it as accurate as possible. And then if there's any challenges that we do come across, we discuss them, we learn from them. And so if we ever come across that again for a second time, we know how to, address that situation.
What's your goal from, intake to output? What's the goal? How fast are you guys trying to turn around these jobs? What's that timeline?
So for design, there's multiple different stages. There's from when you first originally get the layout and layout completed, and then versus getting the full SOW sent. So with those two, I guess we could call them like sub-department or sub-sections, we'll try to get that done within kind of like that 5 business days manner.
Can you kind of walk us through, like, I don't know how to do a solar design. I come in, I watch you guys do what you do, but I don't know all of the things that you guys are thinking about. Can you kind of walk us through the main steps of creating that CAD that can actually get sent off for a permit?
Yeah, so it's, the packets range in how many pages per size, but we're talking about, it's a 14 to 20 page plan set, kind of all different notes, details, specifications, and data sheets in there. But in the actual terms of the CAD itself, we are taking imagery that we do have provided from us, whether it's from a county assessor's site or a site survey team, but we're sketching out the house, drawing out all the lines, in that application in a 2D overhead site, and then we're going in, adding in the module placement, adding in the rafters, all the penetrations in there, and then where the equipment location is going. And then kind of in a separate section of that same CAD space is where we get into the electrical side. And then that's where we'll go into the line diagrams, the 1-line and 3-line diagrams. And that's where we kind of show all the modules, the inverter, all of our meters and disconnects, and then the main service panel as well. And then show how we're going to interconnect that. And it's a bunch of different configurations that are in there. It's kind of always an evolving application that we're working with, as we have, as no two plan sets are the same, you know, so we're always having to kind of make tweaks and modifications to adhere to that specific plan set.
So a sales rep's favorite adder, I'm being sarcastic here, is going to be an MPU, right? You get more complaints about why in the world do we need an MPU when this and this and this. Can you kind of give us an overview of how do you guys determine whether or not this system is going to need to have a panel upgrade, or if you can get by with a D-rate or a collar, or whatever other solution that we can come up with?
Yeah, so there's definitely a few variables that are at stake here. Certain older panels that have lost their UL listings, they're not NEMA 3 rated, which is the new standard that we have to, if we're going to do a new solar application, and the panels have to be this NEMA 3 rated. So a lot of these older panels are out of date, are not rated for that, so that kind of qualifies for an automatic MPU.
Okay.
So those are kind of the older ones that just kind of standardized that we're going to need an MPU. Other situations could be if the system is oversold, or I shouldn't say oversold, but a system has more modules than what the allowable backfeed of that main service panel can handle. That could qualify for an MPU if we can't do a D-rate.
So when we're talking about overfeeding, we're talking about a backfeed. And so you're taking a look at, okay, here's what the panel's rated for. This is how much energy it can actually, accept versus how much energy is going to have to go through it, the size of breaker that we need to put in there and all this stuff. When you talk about doing load calcs, can you kind of simplify maybe what that entails to be able to say this can support an additional however many amps coming from a solar system versus if it can't?
Yeah. So when we do run load calcs to see if we can include a D-rate, you take into account all of the 2-pole heavy load breakers. So that's your typical range, water heater, dryer, AC units, air handlers. Those we always account for those, and then we take a square footage of the house, and that calcs out to give you kind of like a percentage of how many amps estimated based off the square footage of the house. And then you take into account other critical appliances as well that are the single poles, because
refrigerator.
Refrigerators and appliances such as that. And if once you plug that into a calculator, it kind of calcs it out for you. And if that total is underneath, for example, 175, that means that we would be able to D-rate that main breaker down from 200 to 175.
As a rep is in the field and he's trying to determine, should I price in an MPU or not? We've created different matrix that guys can use. The main things to look for, what would you say, here's the things you guys need to look for, and if you see this, just go ahead and price it in. What would be those things?
Yeah, so if they're able to calc out what their solar backfeed would be, that would be a big one right there. So if it's going to be over 40 amps, then we have to look into, if we're going to be able to D-rate, or is it going to qualify for an MPU.
Okay, so we'll have to do some training on that, guys, how to determine what size the system is going to produce what kind of backfeed amperage.
Yeah, that's
or voltage.
That'd be a big one, yeah.
Okay, so old panels, full panels, obviously main breaker are some of the main ones there. I want to switch gears a little bit right now. We got the Powerwall 3s out. Everybody's really, really excited about this. what's the designs team's feeling about the Powerwall 3? How are you guys feeling about that?
Feeling good about it. I think it's a great product.
What are the capabilities that you guys are excited about?
The amount of DC in terms of kilowatts that battery can hold. With previous Powerwalls, the Powerwall Plus, and then even the solar inverter, you're limited to a certain amount of DC kilowatts. The Powerwall 3 is more than double of that now. So that's what's actually really great, is you don't have to add in all these extra equipment with this Powerwall 3. It can withstand a lot more rooftop solar.
So easier install, more solar capable. What's the benefit to the customer with that?
It takes up less space. So if they're limited on how much space they actually have to work with, that's a big plus for them. The cost as well, so you don't have to pay for all this extra equipment. And then
you guys will notice that the adder for the Powerwall 3 is significantly less than what it was with the Powerwall 2 and the Powerwall Plus.
And then the biggest thing I think that attracts the customer as well would be the ability to back up AC units, because here in Arizona, everybody wants to make sure that their AC unit can be backed up, and it's kind of feel like the bad guy having to tell them one battery is not going to really be able to back up your 40 amp 50 amp AC unit. But with the Powerwall 3, it has up to 180 amps LRA, and so that's associated with your AC units. When AC unit first kicks on, it kind of spikes up, and this Powerwall 3 can handle that really high spike without completely draining that battery.
So when we talk about whole home backup, it's a real application with this.
Correct. Yeah.
The other thing that's really cool, especially if you're in a time of use state like we are in Arizona, both with APS and SRP, is the rate arbitrage. Can you kind of tell us how does that work as far as program the battery to be able to offset that demand or that peak energy?
Yeah, so when those demand charges are up higher, kind of later in the afternoon, your solar panels might not be producing as much, so you could really configure that battery to discharge that daytime energy that it's stored to discharge during those high peak hours.
Which is so cool. You think about that, especially in SRP with the demand charge. Those things are heavy, and you're hoping to get some juice out of your solar system, but as soon as it gets dark, 6:37, you got another hour of demand while both AC units may be running. Well, now if you can turn that battery on to discharge and get rid of that demand charge completely, I mean, we can give some people some pretty awesome savings.
Right. No, absolutely.
And at that point, the battery almost starts paying for itself, because until now it's always like, the battery's not going to do it. We can't do whole home backup, or we can't get rid of real demand charges. The battery's just an extra cost, but we're getting closer now to the point with this price point and the capability of the battery that we can really get people's bills very, very low and show an awesome savings.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's pretty awesome. What are some of the limiting factors with the Powerwall 3 that people need to be aware of?
They need to be aware of definitely that it's DC only. So if you have existing solar, you kind of have those challenges right there. And then if you're looking to add multiple Powerwall 3s, as of right now, there's not a DC power pack, as I will call it. So both of the Powerwall 3s have a heavy inverter, meaning a heavy backfeed breaker. So if you were to look to add 2, 3, multiple different Powerwall 3s, you have to keep into consideration that additional backfeed until.
So does that require, if you do 3 side by side, is that 3 different breakers then?
Correct. Yes.
So you're going to need 150 extra amps then?
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Which means then, what does that mean for MPU? It's going to happen,
yeah,
right? You're going to need an MPU. And so guys, think about that when you're going to be doing a battery, whether it's with solar or a battery only, it's going to require a 50 amp breaker. So you're probably going to need an MPU on that. So price in an MPU for all of those. Cool. That's great. You said that it was DC. I thought that it is AC coupled, though. I thought we can hook it up to an existing system.
Yes. So it is an AC coupled battery, but they're soon to release a DC power pack where you can add on additional, we'll say, 13.5 kilowatt, battery packs only that can stack onto that.
You're talking about for stacking.
Stacking, yeah.
Okay, got it.
So that will be a huge benefit when that does get fully released.
Cool. Do you have any requests from sales? As we get into this busy season, to try and avoid and make you guys' life as easy as possible, to get these jobs to as quick as possible. Any specific issues or trends or that you see that cause problems, or anything that you would request of the sales side to help you guys out?
Yeah, just, making sure, from the front end, we get as much detail notes as possible, especially if it comes to a battery, like battery placement, where would you like that? What are the customer's expectations? Is it an arbitrage, or is it, backup? Where kind of making sure that that's, given to us kind of on the front end, and that kind of will smoothen out processes.
Sure.
For sure. Yeah, I think
Good.
so. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. What do you think that our department does better than what you've seen elsewhere, or what you think is happening elsewhere?
Definitely just getting, I guess, a clean job in. Clean job in, get a clean job out. Making sure we get all the information, the site survey photos, have all the necessary notes, and I guess engagement amongst all the different departments, that we have all the resources available so we can get the job done as quick as possible and as clean as possible.
What would you say the biggest challenge in the department is?
Challenge? It's a good question. I guess it would just be the complexity of certain jobs. Getting, there's such an evolving market. We're getting new technologies, new products that are constantly coming out, and kind of having some new changes with, of course, utility and AHJ. Updates and changes, kind of having to make sure we stay on top of new requirements that they may be requesting.
How do you guys deal with rep expectations and customer expectations? What was sold, and then making sure that you can fulfill that on in a design, in a plan set.
It would be making sure we have the proper notes and details kind of up front, and then if we don't, then we reach back out to account management and say, hey, can you pass along this word to the sales rep, to the customer, and make sure that what we're thinking, it aligns with the customer's expectations.
So a lot of back and forth and communication, then, right?
Communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you as you go through the process, then what would you say is the biggest reason for delays in a design?
Reason for delays would be, I guess, kind of once we've reached out asking for questions, some clarity, and it's just that delay in terms of, what is getting that information kind of back to our team and our department.
Gotcha. Now, tell me sometimes, because, a lot of times I'll get a concern from a sales rep. It's like, we had the design, and then it was 3 weeks after it was already approved, something got changed. Can you kind of walk us through what are some of the things that contribute to either late in the game design changes, or curveballs, right? Where it's like, oh, shoot, I didn't realize that there was going to be whatever it is, an MPU or something else. Can you kind of walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, so there could be some underlying issues, kind of especially when we reach out to our third-party structural and electrical engineers. And so, certain AHJs, certain utility companies require structural or electrical, or even sometimes both, stamps in that fact. So when they review the plan set, they look through the photos, there might be something that us as structural engineers didn't see, but raises concerns with them. And so then they will go, might take them a day or so, 2 days or something like that, to get back to us, and then we have to kind of reassess the situation, see what can be done, and then kind of have to restart.
And from what I understand, a lot of times it's a moving target. Like, you guys will design according to code and what that same AHJ approved 2 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden they're saying, oh, we don't do this anymore.
Yep, that's very true. And you'll sometimes get a plan reviewer that will, let something slide by, and then a different plan reviewer reviews a project that we did the same thing, and now they're rejecting it, saying that this is not actually approved, or they don't. It's not gonna. They won't sign off on that. So that's kind of also some challenges that we see as well.
Gotcha. I think key though, like you said, good in equals good out, and I think one of the reasons that we've done such a great job in establishing Fusion Power as the fastest to PTO. Once it's installed to PTO, after the installation, that job has to be inspected. Mm-hmm. And you're either getting a green tag or you're getting a red tag. And so if you install and you get a red tag post-install, forget about it. Now it's adding another 2 to 3 weeks on that PTO process. Customers unhappy because they saw a red tag on their system. Funding's not happening. So now the installer's worried about, cash flow. Mm-hmm. And so it's imperative that the design is right, so that the permit, what is designed is going to get approved on the back end, as long as it's installed correctly, and according to that plan set. It allows everything to move a lot quicker. what do you guys try to do to create the smoothest process and to make sure that those designs are totally accurate? How do you guys try to focus on that?
Yeah, so we will get the jobs, we'll review them, and then we'll have a kind of a quality control process where we'll kind of review that. If everything checks out on us on the design end, we'll send it out for what we call a construction review. And so we'll have kind of on the field's end, we'll have their eyes on the plan set and make sure, now that we've already designed everything up to code and up to standards, just make sure that when our guys get out in the field, they will actually be able to install that plan set.
And I love that you mentioned that, because originally all we did is we'd say, here's a plan set. Electrically, this is fine. This works. But then the guys get in the field and it's like, I don't know how I'm going to make this work. How am I going to do this run, right? Or
Exactly.
So how did that kind of develop, and what's the process as you guys kind of go back and forth between construction review and the engineering there?
So after the internal quality control has been completed and construction review suggests, hey, this isn't going to work out in the field, there will be that, again, communication between the two departments, and, we'll try to quickly jump on that right away, turn it around. And so we can get that, if we have to resubmit it, we'll resubmit it if so, and then, we'll move forward with what works best for construction out in the field, and it's still going to receive approval within the permits and utility application.
Gotcha. 2 more questions. What are some of the initiatives that you guys are doing in the design department right now to continue to improve? We're getting into the heavy season right now where the backlog is there. More and more sales come in, which obviously creates delays, and we try to get through those as fast as possible. What are you guys doing right now to try and make sure that we stay on pace and that these designs come in and get out as quick as we can to get to install as fast as possible?
Yeah, so just training is a big one as well, making sure everybody's, trained, up to gear, up to speed, making sure that we're all able to kind of handle, whichever curveball, we may get at our plate, whether it's battery, generators, kind of whatever it is, that when those jobs come in that are not the standard clean cut, cookie cutter jobs, we know how to address those, work on them, and, get them out in a timely manner. Making sure our CAD template is up to date and geared for all these different applications that can come in, and just making sure together we work as a team and get it done.
Good. Okay, last question. How would you say that your team? How do you guys try to focus on Fusion Power's core values of family first, add value, and tenacious grit?
Yeah. So family first, making sure we all work together as a team. That's kind of the big thing that we have, that kind of that interdepartment communication, making sure we all work well together. And then, add value is, if somebody wants to step up, try to kind of handle one of those tougher projects, that they really take that initiative and, ask questions when they have them, when they come up, and just feel like they want to learn something more, want to learn something new. So they kind of dive into that. And then that kind of goes hand in hand with the tenacious grit as well.
You guys are going to require a lot of it. When we, I know anytime there's a deadline, you guys are working those extra hours to try and keep, to get everything pumped through so we can hit those. You guys have been able to show huge capability and, huge capacity. So we'll look forward to see what you guys can do this summer. But Robert, appreciate you being on the team. Appreciate you coming on the show and all the insight that you've given us from that side of the coin, right? That department is so crucial to everything that we do at Fusion. We bring in the sale, but you guys are kind of the first gatekeepers to say, all right, how are we going to execute and actually make this thing happen? So the role that you guys and your team play is absolutely vital, and it largely determines on how the rest of that project's going to go. So big responsibility, but you guys are doing a great job. So we sure appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and I appreciate that.
You got it. Thank you so much for being on the program today. Everybody who's tuned in to listen, we appreciate your time, and hopefully you're able to glean some excellent tips and pointers and understanding of what it takes to run a great design team, some of the challenges that are there, and kind of know what you can do to help smooth that process over and ensure that we get those jobs through as quick as we possibly can, get the glass installed, get those customers up and running, and we all win. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We will see you next time on the Fusion Power Podcast.